Hello. It's after 10:30 in the morning here in Germany. I just got home from doing stuff. I had this thought in the car and I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. So, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really tired. I'm not sleeping really. Like I am, but I'm not. I'm having very vivid dreams, which a lot of you have already realized that whenever I have dreams, they tend to happen. Um, so I'm just kind of trying to. Yeah, I don't care, Josh. That's open. Be careful. You have it upside down.
I didn't notice it.
Yeah, you're gonna dump the whole bag, son. My son had like a video conference thing for school today. Hey, how are you? We haven't spoken in forever, Marie. Yeah, so my son's home, and the little one is home because the kindergarten is closed because one of the staff tested positive for corona. My brother-in-law has corona. Now my sister has symptoms, so she got tested this morning. My boyfriend's brother's coworker tested positive. My neighbor's coworker tested positive. So it's just all over the damn place. I'm not really too worried about it because I'm just not. It is what it is, right? I'm more focused on keeping my energies in check, taking care of my body, listening to my body. Right now, it's really important that we all drink a lot of water and that we just listen to our body. You need to take a bath, take a bath. You need to take a nap, take a nap. If we can get away with doing things that are better for our bodies, do it. You know, we have to be able to make ourselves a priority sometimes. So, I don't know if I'm like covering up the microphone or not. I just got a bunch of pillows piled up here because I didn't feel like putting the phone onto the stand. But yeah, so I had this dream last night. Um, for those of you who have watched the clouds and understand what we're seeing sometimes, it was a dream like that. Like it started with this cloud that had a shape. And then the cloud turned green, and in the dream I was like, oh wow, I can actually see what it looks like. Usually I only see like the cloud, and then it turned into a dragon. And the people got scared in the dream and they like ran into these buildings, and then it turned into like a full-blown action movie. Okay, like I'm not even kidding. This dream was so intense. I still have a headache from it. Because it wasn't a regular dream. So what happens in this dream is these dragons are trying to come in to these buildings, right? We're doing good. How are you doing, Marie? We haven't talked in a while. I need to like call you sometime. Send me your number on the messenger thing, and I'll give you a call. Um, but yeah, so in this dream, it started off with a really big green dragon, and then there were all sorts of other dragons. Hey, is that you, Deanna? I got thingamajiggers coming in. So and there was like all these people, and they're freaking out, and it turns into like this action movie kind of thing, right? So everybody's trying to defeat these dragons, right? And in this dream movie state of whatever, they were like, here, you gotta like shoot their heads off. And it was just a whole bunch of action type of stuff, just really weird things going on. And the goal was to kill these dragons, right? Slash angels, celestial beings, whatever you want to call them. They appeared as dragons last night. So I was like, okay, let me try to figure out what this dream means, right? And then I woke up this morning and somebody had written something on one of my posts. And I realized that in the dream, what was going on, along with that message that came through this morning, through this experience that I had, was that when the celestials, or when we, hi, I love you too, when we, as the humans working with the celestials, when we come into the houses, right, when we start planting these seeds, the ego of these people, they will fight it, right? They'll try to shoot our heads off, basically. Not literally, I hope. But there's a lot of fears within these people's belief systems at the moment. So whenever we come in and we're trying to plant these seeds and we're trying to tell them that they need to go within, and that's where they will find the answers, they're going to throw shit at us, right? They're going to be scared. They're going to go into fight or flight mode. Um so in one of my lives where I had talked about be prepared to, detach from people, places and things, that's one of the things is that we're going to lose people along the way because whenever we shift our frequency and people come out of alignment, that's just what it is. Some people are just going to kind of fall off the grid naturally. Other people, there's going to be actual conflict. Now, for us, the key is to not engage in said conflict. We have to keep our peace, right? Because we're supposed to be teaching people to keep your inner peace, because the things that are going to be going on, if we don't know how to have our inner peace, well, it's going to be, not fun. So, not that any of it has been fun if you really think about it. Like, I don't know, I thought 2020 was great. Um, I had a blast for the most part. So, yeah, I guess just the information, I feel like this whole, because like all my messages, they always end up coming together, and like it shows in my blog from when I started all the way up to now. It's just everything, like I would get like these little bits, pieces, and then it would all come together into like a bigger message. And if you think about the messages I've had lately, there was a truth that resonates and there's a truth that we experience. And whenever we experience a truth that does not coincide with what we resonated with, there could be a clash. There could be a mental breakdown. There could be lashing out, right? There could be mental illness. Just, people do reacting, they react instead of respond. And if they have unresolved trauma and pain within, they will externalize it. So that's one of the things that's like a smaller piece of the bigger message that is trying to come through, but it's coming through in almost a different language, so to say, right? Because when I receive these messages, it's like a language coming in, an energetic frequency, a language. And this one is higher. So I'm trying to adjust to, figure out how to translate. I had this with Archangel Michael whenever he started coming through too. So I know that it's just a matter of, practice and time. Like with the Massachusetts dream that I had, I was like, well, the airplane crashed. I don't know, but I heard Massachusetts, and then there was an earthquake in Massachusetts the next day. So I was like, okay, so I'm figuring out, I'm figuring it out. I had the state right, and that something was going to happen. So that's cool. So we're getting there. It's a process. But yeah, so that whole truth that resonates and everything, and then like this great awakening that people talk about. It's going to happen differently for every person. And the way it happens for everybody, because it's different, it's going to be that whole perception thing again, right? So this is whenever people start to go, something isn't right with my truth, whether that be on a personal level or a political thing or, a family thing, a job thing, just something that shows them this needs to change, right? I need to figure out why this is, right? When we start to really ask questions, and whenever that happens, this is when at some point they're going to start reaching out for help and trying to figure things out. And then that's when the teachers, right, people will be drawn to certain people. So somebody might be drawn to me and the story that I have because it resonates with whatever they may be experiencing. But somebody else might come in and think I'm absolutely insane and be like, yeah, this bitch is crazy. I don't understand what she's saying. And it doesn't mean that there's a problem with me or them. It simply means that I am not the right teacher for this person, right? That's why I put those lists out. That's why I got the list of names out that, eventually people can add themselves to it and whatever. So, but that's why I did that, because somebody might not resonate with me, but I know people that it might, be a better match, so to say. So I want to make sure that the people that are aware of my page, that they are able to see that there are more people out there who are willing and able to help, right? Because sometimes we want to help, but we're not ready yet, and that's also why I told people to go ahead and add themselves when they're ready, because like there are people who are emotionally ready, mentally ready, physically ready, but they have stuff going on, where it would make, it hard for them to take on that kind of energy. or where they don't actually have the time to do it because they have personal things they have to take care of. So that's why I was just like, add yourself whenever you're good to go. But a lot of people are going to be stepping up to participate in this process that's about to happen. And that's a beautiful thing. Like that's the whole thing. That's what all of this is about. Is about helping one another. So the things that are really big to be thinking about is that we're not supposed to change someone else's perception, because we cannot do that. We can never understand somebody 100%, and they can never understand us 100%. And this is something that my boyfriend keeps saying. So I'm like, that's a fucking message, yo, because he's woke as fuck. He is not aware, but he is woke as fuck. It's not that we're supposed to understand them. It's that we're supposed to have a certain level of understanding in order to have enough compassion to be able to, help them through their process without giving them our perception as their own, right? So we have to always keep in mind that whatever we say, it might not resonate, and that's fine. That's when we go, you know what? I have a friend who had a similar experience as you. Maybe you want to hit them up and maybe they can help you out. Because your friend is going to give them the same message you did, just in a way that's going to resonate, So it's never a personal thing. It's just a matter of awareness and experience and perception. So whenever you recognize what friend of yours or what teacher or whatever, if you know that you notice what they're doing, ask them permission to, point people in their direction. I mean, I honestly didn't ask. I didn't. My angels told me to make the damn list, and I was like, okay, so I made the list. Nobody had a problem with it because they all know that it's time. So, yeah, self-care, very important right now, because the energies, and like, this doesn't even have anything to do with what's going on in the world. It's not even about COVID. It's not about Black Lives Matter. It's not about politics. It's not about any of that. This is just the energy overall that is coming into our systems right now is so intense because it's coming from a higher source. And whenever the people start to experience those things that made us all feel like we're crazy at some point, where we couldn't really distinguish between what's real and what's not real, and am I awake, am I asleep, am I dreaming, am I stuck in a nightmare, who am I, why am I here, like all these questions that start to pop up, right? And I'm pretty sure we all remember how mind-wrecking it was and how emotional we were and how painful it was to become aware of the fact that we were pretending to be something we weren't, not because we wanted to, but because we didn't know any better. So a lot of people are going to start to experience these kind of things, and it's going to be a very emotional time. And a lot of us, we had the opportunity to have time. We had time, right, to really go within and figure shit out. And the world was still a pretty peaceful place whenever we were able to do that. But right now, the world is going absolutely insane. So whenever the people start to have these experiences, not only are they experiencing the insanity within themselves, they're stuck experiencing the insanity outside of the world too, right? As within, so without, as above, so below. Then you don't share. Whenever you're ready, you're ready. And that's what it, like, nobody's forced to do this. We all have free will. And if we don't feel ready to share, then it's for a reason. There's probably still some lessons that we need to work through or something. I happen to just put everything out there because I was guided to do it, and I didn't realize really that that's what that was until later on. But yeah, like, it's really cool. The whole process is just, it's fucking great. I've been having a lot of fun figuring things out, and sometimes I'll still think I'm crazy. I'll be like, this cannot, but then I get the synchronicities and the confirmation. There's always confirmation. Other people might not see it, but you will see it. You will always have your own personal confirmation that you are not insane and that you're actually working with God, for God. I hear my kids making sounds. So it's pretty cool. Lately what I've noticed is that, like, I'll be on a live and I will be giving a very specific message on this live. And then when I get off my live and I'm scrolling through my feed, I will see that other people gave the same message while I was live, right? So it's 3, 4, 5, 6 of us, whatever, putting the same messages out there at around the same time, even though we're all in different time zones. So a synchronicity like that, that's huge. That's a global synchronicity right there. That's people receiving the same messages at the same time, right? Mommy, so if the people who are... What, baby? Spiders. Please don't turn that light on. My head hurts. Oh, God. Spiders. Spiders? Yeah. I told you to leave them alone. They're moving in for the winter. They're living with us now. Give them names. Okay. Okay, go give them names. What? Spiders. Oh, come here. I guess you changed your mind. Okay. But yeah, so the fact that me and a bunch of people that I know are getting the same messages at the same time, that's... Mama! What, baby? Please don't. Nein, jetzt lass das mal aus, Mensch, ich hab Kopf weh. I have a light switch by my bed and on the thing. I'm gonna throw something at you. Hey. Stop it. Hey, come here. This is what I deal with, guys. Oh, my leg's caught. Spiders. All right, let's go check out the spiders. Where's the spiders?
Look.
Where?
Yeah.
That's not even a real spider, guys. It's the Halloween spider.
Oh, hi.
This is the spider that we're freaking out about, guys. Okay, I'll take him with me. Maybe if I put him in my room, she'll stop messing with my light switch. Yeah, this is the spider we're freaking out about. Whoa. You want him?
No.
You want to give him a hug?
No.
Well, what do you want? I got him. I took him away. See? He's safe. You're safe. Everybody's safe and happy and headaches. It's gone. It's right there. There he is. See?
Hi.
Yeah, hi. He's taking a nap.
What?
He's taking a nap. Do you want to come with me on the bed?
Milk.
Milk?
Yeah.
Well, go ask Josh to give you some milk. You're not going to find milk under my bed.
Yeah.
There's no milk under... Nope. No milk under the bed. Oh, that was a bad idea. Y'all get vertigo?
Kaya.
I get vertigo.
Mommy and Mama.
Nein, mach das nicht jetzt mit an Menschenskinder. Komm, let's go get your milk.
Milk?
Yeah, let's go get your milk. Come on.
No.
Where's your cup? Yo-yo. Yellow? Yo-yo? Joshua. Dude, seriously?
What?
Where's her cup for her milk? I'm like live on Facebook right now, chasing spiders that are not real and looking for cups. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, ascension symptoms. Perceptions, people experiencing things. Yeah, so like this whole, great awakening thing, I've seen multiple ways of it happening, and I think that the reason... Okay, so that was under the bed. The reason I think I'm seeing multiple things happen is because we are all manifesting separate things, right? So it's like, I'm gonna set this down for a second, guys. Yes, get your milk. No, you're not getting soda. No, ma'am. No soda. Anyways, but I'm seeing these different timelines play out and these different ways of people awakening. Was denn? Ja, ich hol dir die Milch. There's a pen on the floor. Anyways, sorry guys. Bear with me here. I'm a mom. Yeah, jetzt get him out of there. I got this, child. So German milk comes in these cartons here. And it doesn't have to go in the fridge until it's open. So, I don't know if anybody's ever seen those. I know they have them in the States. I've seen them in the States. Where they don't have to be refrigerated. I was Yeah, the vertigo sucks, man. Alright, I guess we'll just go into story time. I have one of my lives up in the summer, which the timeline of my lives is actually catching up. Like, the timeline is caught up to my lives now. I'm seeing that because I'm seeing synchronicities and messages from things that I said in the lives back in June. But what I did was, in one of them, I actually shared my journals. Hold on, let me see if I can find all of them. I'm digging through one of my junk drawers. You want to see what I have in here? Let's play a game. What's in Jenna's drawer, right? Hold on, let me flip that. So there's that. There's Shakespeare. But yeah, see, look, I got kinetic sand in here because the kids shouldn't play with that. I got these little magnets, because I'm a big kid, and my boyfriend and I saw these on YouTube. I was like, dude, we need that, right? So I got a bunch of mail in here, sewing stuff. Hair from my son's very first haircut 13 years ago. Uno, a Bible, which I got years ago and I stopped reading it, and then I found it and I was like, oh, maybe I should like look into that. Here we go, this is it. But yeah, medicine, just random shit that I didn't want to deal with, so I threw it all in there. Y'all know how it is, right? But yeah, so what I did was, I have this journal here. Dream journal start was the end of January 2010. Now, the end of January 2020 is when I started my Facebook blog, right? And I had started it on WordPress in November of 2019. And what I had done was, because I came back from the States in 2017, and I was depressed, pregnant, hadn't been in Germany in over 7 years, so I was in a really, really bad place, okay? The only reason I'm alive is because I was pregnant, and I couldn't kill a kid. So, and my entire life, I was always writing songs, poetry, stuff like that, and I had stopped writing for a really long time. So then in 2018, after I had my daughter, yeah, I had it for 10 years, and it's fucking crazy because when I did the live, when they were like, share your journals online live, I was reading out of that journal from 10 years ago, and I was like, I don't remember writing that. Like, there was stuff in there where it was showing me, hey, I was ascending and awakening 10 years ago, but I stopped it because I got caught up in what was happening around me in my life at the time instead of going within. So there was multiple times throughout my life where I had the chance to get to where I am now, but I didn't do it. But yeah, so February 2018, I smoked weed again for the first time because I'd been pregnant and I quit and all that good stuff. And I was trying to explain what I was feeling. And this is the very first blog entry. So I'm gonna read it to y'all. You want me to read it to you, or do you just want to go find it? Because there's a bunch of blogs. Like, I spent all year writing every single thing down that was happening. Well, not every single thing. There's stuff I didn't write down. But like, the important things, I guess you would say. But eventually, instead of journaling in my journals, I just started writing everything on the blog because I was like, well, I'm putting everything out there anyways, right? So I might as fucking well. But I tried to explain what I was feeling at this time. So February 7, 2018, I did that. And then I didn't write again for a while. Like, I had a couple of entries, and then I didn't write again for a while. Let me flip this over here real quick. There we go. So I ripped this out of the old journal. And this is the very first entry that I have in my blog. And then, yeah, this was the second one. So then I started to, like, journal in here as I was going through, like, my healing, and I was, just a lot of positive affirmations. That's awesome. And just trying to, set my goals and set my intentions and just really try to figure out how the hell to heal. And you can see here this is where I was reading the live, doing the live, and I was writing down my dreams and just, trying to interpret them and all of these things. So, end of 2019, and like whenever I got back from here, probably about a year after I got back here, I kept having this thought, like, I'm gonna be Insta famous, right? Like, I'm gonna be Insta famous or YouTube famous or some shit like that. And I was still trying to figure out who the hell I was without being caught up in the situations that I had been in before I got back to Germany. Because when I was in the States, I was around, addiction, I was being abused, I was just poverty, just all of the fucking things, right? So I had to break out of that mindset of lack and fear and pain, and I had to, rewire my whole thought process. I had to rewire my brain. And so when I moved into this apartment, because the first place I was at during the actual awakening, I was very, very isolated, which sucked, but I needed that. So it was good. So then in 2018, I moved in here. And I was just trying to figure out, remembering things that I like and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, right? And people were like, "Oh yeah, that's not gonna happen." And I was like, "Yeah, well, right." So I have this little phase on Instagram where you can see me fucking around with makeup, and I have this little phase here and this little phase there, right? But I never really stick to any of it. And then, end of 2019, I start to feel a presence in my bedroom. I've always been surrounded by orbs and spirits, and my whole family can bear witness to the crazy shit that's happened around me because of this. But I kept feeling someone's presence, and I kept hearing the name of my friend Jason, who hung himself while I was living in the States. And I had a dream that I had written down before this happened. And the message today that I put out on TikTok was "can't save them all" regarding the stream that I had tonight with the whole dragons and stuff, because it's not our job to try to save everybody, because they're just going to shoot our heads off, right? So, move on and don't worry about them. They will find their own way in due time. Not to mention, a lot of the souls that are currently in this incarnation or whatever it's called, their soul contract does not actually involve the ascension being during this current lifetime. So some people are opting out of that. They're opting out of the awakening that's going to be coming around, and they will come back in a new vessel. So, can't save them all. That's a really, really big message. And I don't know where this dream was at in here, but I remember the dream, so fuck it. I just wanted to see when I dreamt it, but I had a dream at some point. But I started to, in that dream, there was a woman and she was making puff pastries. And in the puff pastry, there was like some voodoo spell on it, right? And she was trying to feed it to certain people within this office area. And I was like, that's not cool. Like, don't do that, right? And she gave it to a dude. And I told him, I was like, hey, she put some voodoo thing. I'll tell you in a second. I was like, she put some voodoo spell on that. Don't eat that puff pastry. So he goes and he takes a bite of the puff pastry. And then this like old gray hand comes out of it. And it's got like this old, how like the really old vintage clothes have like those collars around the wrist, kind of, the fluffy thingies. It had like that. And then that thing unwrapped itself and it wrapped itself around the dude's throat and the hand was choking him. So it was killing him. Now, at this point, when I started to feel this presence in my home, I was recognizing it on some level as Jason, but I was like, that can't fucking be, because like spirits are not allowed in my bedroom. Okay. I tell them, you want to talk, we do that shit outside my bedroom. I'm not cool with y'all being in my bedroom. It's very seldom that they don't listen and they actually come in here and fuck with me in here. So I was like, I don't know, I was writing about something on I think High Priestess group that I'm in. And this chick named Nanette, she's on my friends list. She's an empath and intuitive reader. She goes, I feel an urgency with the spirit that is with you right now. And she told me that, and I wasn't understanding her message, but she told me, she was like, you need to be your authentic self. You need to step into your authenticity in order for you to reach, the goal that you're supposed to be reaching. And I wasn't getting it. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm healing. I feel like I'm ready to be who I am, but I don't really go out much. And she was like, you need to stop isolating yourself. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm going within though. And she was like, no, you need to start to step out. You need to get out. So I was like, okay, does that mean I need to like be out in the community? Like, what does that mean? And I was like, well, I started my blog because I started to share my journal on WordPress. And so I get that message from her that I have to step into my authenticity and that I have to, let go of something. And then I kept getting the message to keep writing, keep posting my stuff on my blog on WordPress, because I kind of stopped. I was like, fuck it, right? But I was actually going like in the time order of my journal on my WordPress. So when I started to get that message about Jason, because she confirmed that it was him, and the blog entry that I made from the journal on that specific day in November, I believe, I ended up journaling or rejournaling into the blog, transferring over that specific dream. And then I got the message, I heard in my headspace, can't save them all. And that was when I realized, because the day that Jason died, and I really hate fucking talking about this, the day that Jason died, it was New Year's Eve. And he came to my house and he said that he was really upset because him and his girlfriend broke up. And he said that he didn't think he was going to recover from that. He told me about a near-death experience, or an experience with drugs, where he thought he was going to die. And he was like, I'm glad I didn't die. I don't want to die. And I was like, well, that's good. You know, and he asked me, he's like, hey, I'm broke. Can you go buy me some food? You know, maybe some pork chops, just like an actual meal, and some stuff for me to make sandwiches for work. And I was like, yeah, man, like, I got that. You know, he gave me a little bit of money. He was like, hey, can you grab me a bag of weed? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that too. So I got him the food, and I got him a smoke, and he handed me half the smoke. And I was like, are you sure you don't want to spend New Year's Eve with us? Because we're having a party. We got a whole bunch of neighbors coming over. Like, you know, we're going to smoke. We're going to drink. We're going to play dominoes. We got Jello shots. What do you do? Like, hang out with us. Stay with us. And he kept saying no, because he said that he had to go back to the Lake of the Ozarks, which was like an hour drive or some shit. And I was like, okay, well, you know, if you change your mind, come on over. Now, later on that night, my friend Jimmy, his brother, calls him up, and he's like, hey, we got trays of food left, and we still got some trays of Jello shots. Come over here and pick some up. So he was like, hey, let's go pick these up. And I was like, okay, we'll go over there and we'll pick them up. So we're driving over there, and it turns out that his brother lives on the same street as Jason. And as I'm standing there, I see that Jason's car is still outside of his trailer. And I was like, go check on him. But then I said no, because he said he was going to go to sleep. Now, the time that it was when we were there and the time that they estimated his time of death was around the same time. So, because I did not listen to my intuition that night, I carried around that guilt for like 4 fucking years that I wasn't there when he hung himself. And for him to come through that day along with that message, can't save them all, like, I cried for hours. Like, it was a really, really, really strong emotional thing for me, because I had carried that guilt around for so long. And I wasn't even aware that I was carrying that guilt around until that very moment. So that's when I really started to share my journal more. And then when I would have these epiphanies while I was reading my old stuff and getting these messages, I would share that process. And then, you know, I got into shadow work and actually figuring out what shadow work really was and all this stuff. And I was reading this book called, it's by Lola Jones. What's the name of the damn book? Where did I put that book? Because I didn't read the whole thing. It's like Divine Openings, Everything is Better. I don't know. Whenever I remember, I will let you guys know. But it's by Lola Jones. And everything is going great in my absence. I think that's what it is. Everything is going great in my absence. I want to say it's something like that. Lola Jones. Divine Openings. And like, I was writing down things that I was experiencing. And what she does in this book is she gives us ways to understand that we can release our emotions, and we can go through the subconscious into the consciousness of healing without really worrying too much about the why or the what, and we can just kind of let things go. For me personally, I had to work through a lot of the whats and the whys, because I had a lot of trauma that I remembered, and then I started to get memories of trauma that I didn't remember. So, you know, but everybody's different. Eventually I got to that point. Thank you. I got to that point where I don't have to dig as much as I did before. If I get triggered, I can work through it really fast now. Because I've been doing it for 3 years. So, especially this last year, because last year, whenever I bled out, was when things got really intense. But yeah, so I had started to share on WordPress, and then it was like October, November-ish when I started to share, and then the end of January, I was posting some of the blog entries that are on my WordPress. I was posting them onto Facebook spiritual groups and stuff, and I started to get like a whole bunch of friend requests. And I was like, why am I putting everything on WordPress? I could just make like a Facebook page and put my journal on there, right? So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let's do that, right? I had the right thought, but the wrong platform. So I did the blog, the fan page, Be the Crown, on January 30th, I believe it was. And I transferred everything from the WordPress account onto that one, and then I just started to go from there. And I was learning these lessons. You know, I was sharing my experiences, because when I first started doing it, like, all I wanted to do was show my progress in a way that would help other people figure out what they can do, you know, to heal. Because I went from depressed, bipolar disorder, anxiety, fibromyalgia. I mean, by anxiety, I mean like daily panic attacks, like hyperventilating on the fucking floor at Walmart with my 2-year-old playing with the nail polish. It was really, really bad. And I had sleep paralysis, and I had night terrors, and I would go for days or weeks where I was barely sleeping because I was terrified of falling asleep, because I was terrified of what I might feel or see or experience. And I was on a bunch of medication and all this shit, you know? So, but eventually I got to a point where I was off the medication, and that was one of those divinely guided processes where I was hearing this message, like, stop taking your meds. And I was like, okay, right, all right, we'll do it. So I just really started to listen to my intuition, and my intuition has saved my life in the past. So I knew that I could trust what I was hearing. I didn't realize until later on that your intuition is really just your higher self, your soul, your guardian angel, whatever you call it, right? It's essentially all the same thing, really. Like, it's the energy that works with us to keep us on the path, right? And whenever we stray from the path, we end up in these cycles of bullshit that keep repeating themselves. And it's like a spiral, right? Revelation into Genesis. We all experience our Garden of Eden moments, and then we kind of spiral downwards into a moment of truth that causes either enlightenment or pain, right? And then we walk away from our Garden of Eden because we have this pain, and then we start to experience stuff. And eventually we end up in our own personal moment of our crucifixion, right? Our moment of death and our resurrection. And then we can go beyond the veil and see what's going on, which beyond the veil, when the veil ripped, that's going beyond yourself into your darkness, into your shadow, to confront your ego and your pride and your pain and your trauma. And then you come out, you know, and you're back into the Garden of Eden. So the resurrection and the it's Genesis into Revelations. It's a resurrection and a rebirth over and over and over, on different levels, layers, and dimensions. And Genesis, Revelations, that shit's happened over and over again throughout history. We say history repeats itself. Yeah, that's all it is, right? And right now we are in a moment of revelation. We're going to enter into a new cycle of Genesis. And the way I've been perceiving this is that dude, I've had crazy fucking experiences with my solar plexus, man. I'm telling you, I've had some crazy shit happen. I've had stuff happen that was so intense and so weird that I wrote it down in the form of a poem or a story, because I was like, if I say it like it was, they're gonna think I'm nuts and put me in the hospital. Like, that's why I always make sure that I'm backed up by science. That's why the divine is making sure that we're backed up by science. Because everything that I say, as crazy as it sounds, the stories beyond around what I'm saying are so fucking crazy, but the messages that I have, they're logical and sound, and they make sense, and they're all backed up by science, some form of science. You know, psychology, biology, astronomy, astrology, religion, spirituality, quantum physics. It can back up every single one of my things that I talk about. So yeah, I didn't have I didn't have the intention of, I want to be enlightened or Christ consciousness or anything like that. It was a process that started to happen as I was documenting my journey to healing. Um, and I wasn't even aware of that either, until later on, where I was like, hold up. I'm recognizing, things, and I'm getting more open to experiences, and I'm astral projecting, and I'm remembering where I'm going, and I'm seeing other planets, and I'm seeing geometrical shapes, and people are having dreams about me where I'm writing in Hebrew or speaking a different language, or I'm guiding them through dimensions. And I was like, why are people having biblical dreams about me? And it was just a whole lot of weird stuff going on. And then in the summer, when I started doing the lives, that was when I was starting to experience the cycles of Christ within my own life, where I was becoming aware of the cycle of Christ within my own life and within other people's lives and within movies and all sorts of stuff. So I was like, it's a never ending cycle, but it's not just a cycle, it's a spiral, because, it's never the exact same story, but it's the same, process. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I made the live where I talked about everybody's going to share their story and their perception, because that's how we get more people to resonate. Because if we have 8 billion people on the planet, well, I mean, it's less, a little less, right? But we got 8 billion people on the planet, and only 1 or 2 people are going to be like, well, teaching these lessons to people and explaining the process to people. It's not going to resonate with everybody. If I'm talking to people and they have been through domestic violence and some sort of an addiction thing, not as the addict themselves, but as somebody who was with an addict, I will resonate with those people, right? But there might be people who they were addicted to drugs, or they went through, an entire different kind of lifestyle. So whatever I'm saying to them, they're not going to resonate with that. So that's great, So there's a lot of people who have their experiences and share their stories and go from their perception so that it can resonate with as many people as possible. And that was also one of the lessons that I had in the beginning when I started sharing on Facebook. I kept saying that everybody has a piece of the puzzle. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle to make the bigger picture. And I was seeing, yeah, like everything kind of just falls into place, right? Because I wasn't, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I was supposed to write a book. I was like, I'm going to write a book, right? And I had started where I was like, yeah, I could write about the things that I went through and, the woe me story, basically, right? And then I was like, no, that don't seem right. Like, I don't want to do it like that. And then, whenever I got the message in the hospital that I will help them heal, I was like, well, in order for me to help other people heal, then I have to heal. And then I started healing on levels that were just unimaginable for me at the time. And then by the end of that year, I started sharing my journal. And then everything else that happened this year. It was a really, really fast transition. It was really fast. Like the process, the awakening process itself, that took years, right? To become aware of what was really happening. That took a couple of years for me. But then once it hit and I was like, oh, okay, I see what's really going on and who I'm really communicating with, I was like, okay, bet. And then things just like quantum leaps, right? Yeah, so I'm gonna call it a big ass coincidence. But there are none, but it's like a big ass coincidence. Basically, all this shit just kind of fell into place because it was all divinely guided. I met people that I recognized on a soul level, and they guided me and helped me in ways that I never thought possible. My guides put a vision of a man into my head months before I met him. And before I had the dream, I was telling my friend, I was like, girl, I feel like I'm going to meet my husband soon, right? And it was just crazy. I was like, I feel like I'm going to meet my husband soon. Like, I can feel his energy. And she was like, that's crazy. And I was like, nah, man, I'm telling you, like, my husband's close on some kind of level. And then I had this dream about a man who I ended up meeting online. So I was obsessed with the whole, hey, I'm supposed to marry this guy, right? And that's the guy that I talk about in my lives, Clad. And I did fall in love with him, but I stopped myself from falling fully in love with him because I recognized that he wasn't he's not ready. That's all. He's not ready, right? So, but through him, I was learning all of these lessons because he was bringing forth triggers in myself that I wasn't aware of. And I never told him, oh, what you said pissed me off, or what you said made me feel kind of way. I would go, wait a minute, why did that make me feel like that? Like, he said this, and it's not a bad thing. He wasn't rude. He's a very, very kind person, and whoever he does marry is going to be very lucky. And I think I know who he's going to marry, but I mean, he needs to overcome his fucking fear. So if he ever watches this, I hope he fucking did it and married her ass. But like, I had to learn all these lessons through him. And while I'm hanging out with him and I'm focusing on our friendship, I'm also becoming friends with my now boyfriend, right? But because I'm not trying to impress him, or I'm not trying to, convince him of some crazy fucking whatever, right? Like, I'm just being completely me. He's seeing me as a mom. He's seeing me as a neighbor. He's seeing me help other people out. He's seeing me do dumbass shit because I'm in the pool acting like a full-blown grown-ass adult child, right? So he got to really know me on most of my levels, right? And then we actually like started to hang out more, and I started to notice him in a different way. And then eventually I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Like, what? And we've known each other. I've known him longer than I've known Clad. So yeah, I guess we'll see where that goes. He's already brought up marriage a couple times actually. So I was like, well, we got time, figure shit out. He's never been in love or in a relationship or anything. So it's really cute because he's like super innocent, and I'm like, damn, I get to teach you everything. So yeah, it's super cute. But all these things happened, and what I was realizing at some point was when I get this information about specific things, I will end up experiencing them, right? So like, I get the information, and then I experience the lesson, and then I share the lesson. So during the summer this year, just a lot of stuff happened in the summer for me. I noticed, I was divinely guided to come to the realization that the lessons in my blog were the same lessons that Jesus taught. Kindness, compassion, surrender, letting go, trying not to control things, the art of shutting the fuck up, which Jesus called turn the other cheek, walk away, right? It's not about being slapped in the face and turning the other cheek. It's about being slapped in the face and then showing him your ass and walking away, which I call the art of shutting the fuck up. Where Jesus said kindness, I said don't be a dick, right? So the terminology is different, the perception is different. The experience that I had is different, but the lessons, those are the same. So at some point I was like, okay, cool. So my blog has the same stuff that the Bible has. And that was a really funny way how that happened, because I started to hear words and see images during meditation, and I didn't know what any of them were. And then when I looked them up, they were all things that were in the Bible, stories and places and people from the Bible. And I was like, what is happening? Because my whole life I kind of rejected the Bible for the most part. The Bible that my mom gave me was from 2009, 10, really long time ago, guys. Because when I was going through my divorce, I went to the States, because my ex-husband, he had made threats back then. So they sent me to the States to keep me and my son safe at the time. And I went to church when I was there, because I was like a really low time. And I was like, well, let me turn to God and see how that works out, right? Well, it still didn't feel completely right, because people worship Jesus. And I was like, well, I'm not about worshiping. I'll have to read that later. I don't know who just messaged me, but yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, it didn't feel right to worship Jesus. It just didn't. And then eventually I started to get these messages about Jesus and all this other stuff, and I was like, hold up, what? So yeah, a lot of stuff that came through. And this is where, like, people be like, oh, well, are you reading the Bible? And I'm like, no, I'm not reading the Bible. I get information, and then if I'm told to read something in the Bible, if I'm guided to do that through synchronicities and words that come into my head or images, then I will do that. And then the Bible will actually back up the message that I received, which is how I know if I'm reading a truth or a lie in the Bible, because I will experience something before I actually look it up in there. And that's how I learned how to practice discernment. for when it comes to the Bible. Not once have they led me to the Old Testament. Just want to throw that out there. Not once. So, yeah. The main thing that they had me look into was the book of Matthew to show me that what I was writing was the same stuff. And then they had me recently, I don't remember what it was. I was looking about Jezebel. Yeah. Buddha and Jesus did the same thing, really, right? It did the same thing. And I don't know why people are drawn to, specific people. Like, I guess we all just have whatever, perception, experiences. Yeah, my friend Kevin, he's in Australia. He is also very drawn to Buddha. The reason for me with like my thing with Jesus was I was born and raised, and my dad is very Christian. But one of the things that I learned growing up, what's my battery at? Let me plug this in. One of the things that I had learned through the experience with my dad was that we should let other people share their perception, because my dad would never let me do that. Like, if oh shit, here I go breaking stuff. That's cool. Hold on, guys. If ever I try to bring up Buddhism or any other kind of religion that did not sit well with his... Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Come on, gravity. Work with me here. We're magical beings. We can do this. Okay, here we go. Alright, we're good. I got a whole cable mess over here next to my bed. But yeah, he wouldn't even let me try to bring it up. And I wasn't trying to I was in college and we were doing humanities, and there was just some really cool stuff about reincarnation and all that stuff that I thought was really cool. And I wanted to talk to my dad about it, because my dad is a very, very smart man. And he has a lot of knowledge about different religions and all these things, right? But he's so stuck on Christianity, my assumption would be because of an underlying fear of, being wrong and going to hell. He wouldn't even listen to it. He would just shut me completely down. It's not even an option to even talk about it for him. And there's a lot of people who are, stuck in that thing, and that's fine, as long as they are steadfast in their belief of God being a being of love, then they're on the right track either way, They're going to learn the lessons their own way and all that stuff too. So it doesn't matter if we're, going through Jesus or Buddha or atheism. It don't matter which way we get there. Wicca, there's a whole bunch of ways. We're all going to get to the same place. And that's where, again, that whole perception thing comes in. Some people are going to start to experience these things through Christianity. It's just a matter of them allowing themselves to open up, because the only way to really learn all of the lessons is to actually open up to being able to receive the information as it comes in. So that's why I tell people they have to be open-minded, because if you're not allowing any other information to come in, you're not going to see the connections. And if you don't see the connections, you are going to stay in a mindset of duality of, light and dark and right and wrong and good and evil. And if we stay in a mindset of duality, we just simply do not reach Christ consciousness. And enlightenment and Christ consciousness are not the same thing. You pooped?
Yeah.
Oh goodness, you pooped, guys. They're not really the same thing. And I don't really know how to explain it quite yet, because, yeah, I mean, it kind of is the same, but it kind of isn't. I think it's a process thing. Because you said you pooped, so come here. Well, you then pet him. Now we're petting the spider. That's great.
Hi.
Okay, can we take care of your butt?
Yeah.
Well, let's go. I'm gonna have your brother do it.
Bye, spider.
Bye, spider. Hey, Josh. Can you change her diaper? Because I'm on her live. I got people watching. There's my son. Where is he? There. Can you please go change your diaper? Did you just do the finger at me?
No, I did this.
I know, that's what I mean. The finger. He's telling me to wait. What do you mean wait? Yeah, I know. Come on. Okay, so. Nay, nay, nay. I'm just going to set y'all down for a minute, okay? Here, look at baby wipes. Yep. Nay, nay, nay. Oh. Nay, nay, nay. Yeah, Joshua's playing online, so he can't just pause the game. Yeah, I know. Where are the other baby wipes at? Why are they on the floor? I don't know either. Leave your pants on. Leave your pants on. Stop. Stop it. Stop. Yeah. Yes. But. The pants. Spiders. Stand up. What are you doing? You make good voices. Stand up so I can button your pants, baby.
Puppy. Oh.
I'm sorry. Here you go. Hold on. I'm back. But yeah, because you know how we have like moments of enlightenment? Like, I remember when I was journaling at some point, I recognized that the little girl I was always trying to save in my dreams was actually myself, right? At least in one aspect, right? Including our own dreams and our own experiences. So, and I wrote about this on my blog too. This whole process is in there along with the dreams. But I found out that when I was having these dreams where I was saving a little girl, which started when I was very, very young, because that's when my trauma started, very, very young, I realized that I was saving myself. I was trying to save my own inner child. And this whole Save the Children movement within the world is the externalized manifestation of us having to save our inner child, right? So that's why whenever Mark was talking about the Save the Children movement, you know, he wasn't bashing pedophiles. He was saying you need to go and save your own inner child, which I did too after I got through my ranting and raving about the pedophile. And then I figured out that I cannot hate the pedophile because then I'm only hating an aspect of myself. What? Yes, baby. And for me, pedophilia has history in my life. What? Yeah, don't break that. That's glass, you know. You made that. Don't ruin it. Ope? Do you want to go watch Pause? Hilfe? No, don't. She wants to take the paper off of this. She made it. It's a little... We have this holiday coming up where they have a little lantern. Why would you drag everything off my bed? Kids are jerks, guys. And now you're throwing my pillows away? That's so rude, man. But yeah, so everything that happens in the world around us on some level is an externalization. We manifested it. And when you think about when we manifest things, manifestation is one level, layer, dimension of creation, right? When we master the art of manifestation, we go into creating. We recognize that we are literally creating the world around us. Give me my pillow. Joshua, it's cold in here. Can you turn on the TV? Where's the remote? So, yeah, there's so many things, man. Let me turn that on. It's cold in here. Hey, kitty. I'm not chasing you, girl. You think we playing. I'm not playing. I'm walking out. My head hurts. Turn on the thing for her, son. Come on, kitty. Come on. I know you don't want her torturing you. Yeah, so I started to share these things, and as I was going through these experiences and these lessons, I was having these moments of enlightenment, like when I realized that I was supposed to save my inner child. And when I told my friend about it, you know, she got emotional because she was like, oh shit, that's really deep, you know, and she recognized that she had to save her inner child. And she was like, well, do you think you're enlightened now? And I was like, no, no, I'm not. And through that experience, I learned that even if somebody were enlightened, they're probably not going to say it. for the simple fact that enlightenment is a matter of perception, right? Some people think that somebody who is enlightened is going to be somebody who does not talk a lot, who does not cuss, who does not eat meat, who does not drink alcohol, right? They have this idea of how somebody who is enlightened is supposed to act. But something else that I learned recently is that enlightenment, one, it's perception, because there could be 10 people who are enlightened in front of you, and you're only going to recognize one of them to be so because they fit your perception of what enlightenment is supposed to look like externalized, right? But enlightenment is an inner thing. So we can't see if somebody's enlightened. We can only feel it. And whoops. Hold on. Let me open my water bottle here.
Mommy.
If we put those limitations though. Are you bringing it back?
Yeah.
Can you put it on my bed? Please and thank you. Yeah, go get the spider. I don't care.
Here.
Okay, there he is. But yeah, so the thing is, if we put limitations on other people as to how they have to be or what they have to look like, or, you know, when it comes to being enlightened, those same limitations, the same limitations that you're putting on other people on what enlightenment should look like, you're putting those limitations on yourself, right? Because at a soul level, we are born enlightened. And I learned this through watching my children, because my son, he talks about a lot of the lessons that Jesus taught. And I don't really talk to my kids about spirituality and Jesus and stuff like that too much, right? Like I don't really do that. I just, if my son's having his 13-year-old breakdowns, I tell him, well, you know, go within, figure it out, what's pissing you off, and work through it. And he goes, I don't know how. And I'm like, well, I'm telling you how. So, you know, like, he can get really frustrating. Then he's 13, and, you know, when I was 13, I was suicidal, so he's already much better off than I was. I'm not doing that. No, ma'am. You want a snack? It's time to bribe the child with unhealthy food. Oh, you want a cucumber? I don't know if we have any more cucumber. I think we ate that all last night, boo-boo. Let me see what we got. I'm ready to bribe her with fucking snacks, and she goes, cucumber. What do we got here? Why is there pizza on the floor? You want an apple? You want an orange? You want a banana? What are you doing with your leg? What do you want up here? There's like literally nothing up here. Oh. Here, have these. You like these things?
No.
No, you don't like these things? How about this? You have pretzels? No pretzels? Crackers? No, you don't even. There are no gummies. There are no gummies. Nope. Pretty sure me and Angus ate most of the gummies last night. Hold on. Maybe we still have some here from when we played games in the ranch. Yeah. Here. Look. Duh. Go come on. Look, that's all there's left. Do you want these or not? Do you want these 2 gummies or not, Adeline? Okay, well, you throw your fit. You have fun with that. Cool. Yeah. What was I saying? Moments of enlightenment. Yeah, limitations. Children. Got it. Children were born enlightened because if you look at a child, they understand the lessons that Jesus taught without actually being told these things, because I don't try to put too much stuff in my kids' heads. I want them to experience things and learn them themselves. And if you look at a child, my daughter Kyrie, she's gonna be 7. I'm old. She does stuff that at first I perceived as, you know, just kids being kids, talking to imaginary friends, yada yada yada. Turns out she was speaking in light language. I don't know if you've looked up light language, but if you go to TikTok, there's a bunch of people who do it. So she speaks light language, and I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. And then my little one, she functions at a level of living in the now at all times and unconditional love and joy and peace. She has her moments. She's a child. She's, you know, 2 years old. They don't always know how to communicate their needs, so they throw their little temper tantrums. But for the most part, she's always a very, very happy and just a giddy kind of kid, right? So if I'm looking at all three of my kids, I'm seeing different stages of Christ consciousness within them, based on their human level of understanding and comprehension and ability to communicate their needs, right? So if I can keep what they have going as they grow and let them have their experiences like I did and keep their minds open, and try to help them work through any type of traumatic experience that have already come up or will be coming up in the future, then I am guiding them to stay on that path of enlightenment, so that they keep it. What? Did the cat scratch you?
Yeah.
Well, whose fault is that, Pumpkin?
Daddy.
No, it's not the kitty's fault. It's your fault because you know not to touch her. You know not to touch her. Well, you let her eat. Let me open this window for the cat. There you go. You can go outside, kitty. You know she doesn't like it when you mess with her. Joshua, I'm going to take my computer away. Do that. Yeah, go ahead and throw a fit on Facebook Live. That's cool. Let the world see your true colors, son. Nobody ever told me that 13-year-old boys were this much work. What? Eat it. Well, eat it. Yeah, eat it. There you go. What the hell? What was that? Are you broken?
No.
Do you want to come up here?
No.
What do you need? I'm not eating that after you licked it and dropped it on the floor. No, don't lick it again. It's dirty now. No. Move. Move. I'll go clean it off. Yeah, I tried to make sense of things. Because, I didn't have... Here you go. When I first started going through that whole awakening process, right? The destruction part of it, right? The internal destruction. Which is, also externalized in some kind of way. It could be a breakup, a new job, moving, something like that. For me, it was, leaving America, coming back to Germany. And I was experiencing this destruction. I had chest pains. It's okay, I'm fine. I get these a lot. I was very unaware of what was happening. And then whenever I moved into the first place that I was at here in Germany again, I was living in a town where I didn't know anybody, an area where I didn't know anybody, where the bus connections were shitty. I didn't know anyone in town. I was at the very end of my pregnancy, very depressed, very alone. And I was going through an awakening. I didn't have internet because I was on a waiting list for it. And my phone connection was really shitty. So I didn't have a lot of Wi-Fi on there either. Sometimes I would find a spot in my room where I could kind of get on Facebook, but I couldn't really watch YouTube or do a lot of research or anything like that. So, I had I moved in on New Year's, and then, I see that cycle there. Okay, cool. Numbers and planetary alignments, epiphanies. And then April, I got internet. So between December and April, I was experiencing these things. I was becoming more aware of the spirits around me, which I had blocked out most of my life on and off. Started to have dreams again. And that whole feeling of having lost my fucking mind. And I didn't have any way to research what was wrong with me. And I had a friend who had went through that same experience years before I did. And she was like, well, yeah, she didn't point it as a spiritual awakening. She just understood on an emotional level what I was going through, because she had also grown up in Germany, moved to America, and then shit got to a point where she came back here, and then when she got back here, she got diagnosed with an illness, and well, she's better off in Germany because of insurance, so she stayed here, you know, and she went through the same emotional process of leaving everything behind and, you know, dealing and going through the trauma and trying to just, you know, feel better. So she understood what I was going through. She also told me about that book from Lola Jones at some point, and she was just a really big help. We were helping each other through this ascension process. And then at some point, we stopped hanging out, and anytime I saw her on Facebook, I would feel triggered, right? Now, I was learning how to discern my energy from other people's energy. And I figured out that when I felt triggered by seeing her on Facebook, I wasn't being triggered by her. I was feeling that she was triggered by me. And I didn't know why she was triggered. We didn't have an argument or anything like that, right? So, like, there was no real reason for us to be triggered. But I kind of, you know, kept that space between us. Occasionally it'd be like, hey, how are you? Or like a post or respond on something. But I kept a distance because I felt that she was triggered by me and I didn't know why. So after a couple months, we start talking again, and she's been, you know, going through her things, and I was going through my things. And what had happened was the reason she was triggered was because Spirit was bringing us apart, because I was experiencing her energy as my own because I hadn't learned how to discern the two yet. And they needed me to move forward in my own ascension without the help of another person. In that sense, right? So I started to meet people online, and they were giving me clues and, you know, pieces to the puzzle to figure things out. And I learned about the Schumann resonance and quantum entanglement and all of these other things that kind of come together and just show me what levels there are to oneness, and show me that the Bible is not just a religious book. It is a spiritual book. It is a book of science, right? Even with the manipulations in it, all of those things are still in there, because everything is divinely guided either fucking way. That's why there's no good or bad. There's a blessing, a lesson, or a purpose. People dying, that's, first of all, they get to go home. So, like, that's really cool. Second of all, when Noah built the ark and the world was flooded, it didn't serve as a means to, you know, just kill everybody because they're assholes. It was about destruction to rebuild. It was about making space for something better to come in, right? So what's happening now is the world is undergoing on multiple levels, layers, and dimensions a sense of destruction, which does involve physical death or spiritual death, right? These awakening moments, or just opting out completely to come back or go somewhere else. You know, there's other places and timelines. So even if it's hard, because we are still human and we have the human emotions and everything that's attached to being here, we cannot look at, you know, the loss of many people as like this horrible thing. You know, like, yes, it's horrible. Yes, it sucks for the families, but we have to stay in that vibration of love, you know, and acceptance and peace. So we have to learn to detach and look at things differently. When my cat Maggie died, that was really fucked up, you know, and like, it hurt, but I understood that on some level there was a lesson to be learned. There was a message within that, right? And then my other cat ended up having not one surgery, but 2 surgeries. And I realized that if Maggie had still been alive, Maggie would have had surgery around the same time that Kitty had 2 emergency surgeries. And I was like, at that point, I wouldn't have had the money to keep my other cat alive. So it was almost like, on a divine level, Maggie sacrificed herself in order to make sure that whenever Kitty got sick and then attacked by dog, I was able to financially take care of her. And Kitty is she's a reflection of me in a very strange way. Whenever I got her, she was very she's very fickle, right? She would come and wrap herself around my legs, but if I touched her, she would attack me. She was hiding for months. The only time I ever saw her out was if she was coming out at night. She wouldn't let me, love on her or anything. She was a very, very afraid, timid cat. She did not like human contact. Now, when I got her and she was going through her phase, I was still in my dark night of the soul. I was still very fickle and timid and afraid, right? And it was like the more I healed, the more she healed, right? And she started to come out during the day, and like eventually she would lay on my bed if I wasn't in it, and then she would lay on my bed if I was in it. And like now, if I'm laying on my bed, she immediately comes up and she's all up in my face, and sometimes I gotta tell her to get out my damn bubble, right? So she's become very, very attached to me. Yesterday, my boyfriend, he noticed because I was booping her nose. I was like boop 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 boop. He was like, she lets you do a lot of stuff to her, and I was like, yeah. And he noticed because I'm the only person who can do that. Like, he can boop her once or twice, but if he goes boop, 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 he already knows she's gonna fucking attack the shit out of him. So, yeah, she's my familiar, and I've actually had multiple lifetimes with her. Not always as a cat though, but like, yeah. So I didn't understand any of that whenever Maggie died. I didn't understand that until later on. So that was like part of the soul contract. And you ever get these downloads where you like download a soul contract? Have you ever had that? Because that's really crazy. That's really crazy. I got tingles going on. When we start to remember things, we also start to remember these contracts that we made. And for me, what had happened was in February, where I had this really big shift. It kind of started with me getting my first soul contract download. And what I saw was the soul contract between my girl's dad and myself and his fiance. And in this contract, I was seeing how 7 years all came together. The purpose of 7 years, the contract that we made, was for him and I to bring each other into the dark night of the soul, but we were not to ascend together, right? So we were twin flames at a time. We were the twin flame thing at the time, but it was not meant to be one that comes back together, right? Why? Because this energy can shift, because we come out of alignment and into alignment with higher frequencies. So him and I, we launched each other into that, and then we had other people come to bring us out and help us ascend, right? Now, for him, he's in prison. I don't know to what extent he has been actually working on himself. I wouldn't know that. I know that his fiance has come super duper far, and like, oh my god, she's absolutely amazing. So I'm really grateful that he has her, because if it weren't for her, he probably wouldn't be in prison doing his time. He would probably still be out doing meth, beating women, So he's come a very, he's doing really good. And I really hope that whenever he gets out, he will have worked on himself enough to the point where he's able to stay clean so that he can step up and become the teacher that he is meant to be. Because he is a reflection of myself. And in the soul contract, I did see him doing what I do, but, for addicts and homeless people. That's going to be his main group. So I've already seen the possible outcome if he does the work, because we have to accept, right? As the vessel, we have to actually accept on a conscious level what the subconsciousness, the soul, has already planned on coming here to do. And yeah, we have that free will, but also if we're not in alignment with what we're supposed to be doing, we're going to have the karmic cycles, because we're not learning the lessons, right? When we start to learn the lessons, we're going to want what we came here to do, right? So yeah, there's free will, but really it's just common sense, because when we start to heal and remember, we're going to be like, yeah, this is what I want, because we're going to start to be authentic to ourselves and be really honest with ourselves. And it's really cool. I fucking love the process, man. Like, some of it is so exhausting. Like, I look tired as shit. Can y'all see how tired I am? Like, I'm really tired. My head has been hurting nonstop for days. But yeah, so that first soul contract, whenever that came down, it made my whole body shake. Like, I was physically shaking. I started sobbing, and I didn't understand why I was crying, because I was like, I'm over this guy. Like, why does it hurt me so bad to see that we don't have a future together, especially because, like, I'm Germany. Like, I knew that we didn't have a future together. I was over him. I'd already met the other guy that I was hanging out with, at the time, that I was interested in, and, doing my shadow work. So I was like, why does that hurt so bad? And what I had in that moment, it was an emotional release. One, old stuff coming back up. Two, when we get these downloads, these information of past lives or soul contracts or anything like that, it can bring up emotions because the human body is it's hard to comprehend. It's a lot of energy coming through. So we have these emotional purges that come with them. And that was a really, really strong one. Especially because, I have children with this person, and I was like, it was just really hard. And then I had a soul contract download between me and Clad, which I didn't remember all the details when I got it, but it also had my body shaking, but it was not as intense as that very first one because I was raising my frequency and I was adjusting to these downloads coming and this energetic stuff coming through. And it was showing that time, like the first one that I got, it was like just a dump truck, just all of it at once, right? And my brain was trying to piece it all together. The second one, it was more like, one string at a time, kind of, and it was coming in slowly. So I was like, okay, I can work with that. And now the way it comes in, it's just like flashes of images. So I had one where I was talking to Clad still. And I had told him I learned how to communicate in a past relationship already, but with Clad I learned to communicate on a level where I could communicate my truth without being a dick, and where I was able to accept their truth even if it did not resonate with mine, right? So I learned all these lessons through him. And I had expressed my emotions, and I had told Clad, I was like, look, like, I think that we would make an amazing fucking couple. And I do have feelings for you that go beyond friendship. But I'm not going to sit around and wait on you to get over your fear of love, because he did tell me that he was afraid of love. I was like, so I'm going to go on a date with this dude, but I want to make sure that you know that you are not ready or whatever, because if I go on this date, I don't know what's going to go on, right? So he was like, yeah, go on the date. It's cool. So I went on this date. And after the date, on the drive home, I already got the soul contract download, and I was like, oh, well, that was really fucking short. So what I learned on this date was, I don't want to date. I don't want to date. And I told Clyde, I was like, yeah, so I learned that I don't want to go on dates. I don't feel like investing my time in getting to know someone else and yada, yada, yada. Like, I didn't want to do all that shit. I didn't want to have to do that. And it's really funny because the whole time I was hanging out with Clad trying to figure out what I want in a relationship and what I don't want, and learning to love myself and acknowledge my own worth, and trying to help him through his thing and helping everybody on the Facebook with their things. I was hanging out with this dude the whole fucking time who doesn't really know English. He doesn't have a fucking Facebook or an Instagram or a Twitter or none of that. He don't care about any of that stuff. He doesn't watch the fucking news. He barely watches any fucking TV. The only movies he's ever really watched was Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and some other nerdy thing, right? And I'm all about the nerd stuff, so yes, right? So yeah, he's just not of the world at all. Never has been. It's just how he is. So I had all this stuff going on, and I come to the realization I don't want to do that whole dating, getting to know someone process. And I was already doing that. I was getting to know someone without having to do that. So like the entire time I was already manifesting this relationship with this guy. And even though he is not aware of where he's at emotionally because he's never experienced the emotions he has. Oh, also he has no inner dialogue. So that's new. And he didn't realize he didn't have an inner dialogue until I was divinely guided by people, places, and things to realize, oh, he has no inner dialogue. And then I went through some questions with him, and we're like, yeah, he has no inner dialogue. So I got to figure that out. Like, how do you know if you're in love if you have no inner dialogue? I don't know. Hi, Kat. I don't know if you're still watching. It says down here, but not up here. I have no idea. Yeah, we can't change them like that. The soul contract, that shit's set in stone. The overall lessons to be learned. Yeah. It's really cool though, because I thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. That was nuts. And when my cat died, the soul contract that I saw was her having the kittens, her becoming a mom. And then my friend reached out to me, and she was like, "So I'm picking up a message from your dead cat, and she's saying thank you for letting her be a mother." And it's funny because my friend Clad, who is not spiritual, who even says he does not believe in God, and this is where I started to realize that one of the things I did want in a relationship was that the person that I am with, they don't have to be spiritual or religious, but they do have to be aware and embrace the possibility of there being a God. And my boyfriend does that. He has a little guardian angel thing in his car that his mom gave him as a gift. And I was like, that's so cute. I was like, oh, you got a guardian angel in your car, right? And like, he believes in angels. He's said things to me that would point out on a higher self perspective that he recognizes who I am. And it's really cool. So even though he's not spiritual and he's not really sure of his emotions because he's never experienced them before, he goes above and beyond to be there for me and my children, which he was doing the entire time we've known each other. If I need him, he's there. If I want to play a game, he'll fucking play a game. If I want to cuddle, he'll cuddle. If I want to make food, we'll make food. Like, it's just like, we just really work well together. And that's why at some point he was like, I guess we just should make it official then. And I was like, yeah, maybe we should, right? Because, I mean, we're together almost every day, you know. I think the longest that we've been apart since August was like 4 days. And after 4 days, I was like, dude, we can't be doing 4 days. Like, that's too much. I was like, no, 4 days is too long. Even if we only see each other for 10 fucking minutes, we still see each other, you know? So yeah, like, I noticed that I didn't want to be in a relationship where the man does not believe in God. I said, I need God in my relationship. And he believes in God. So I was manifesting this relationship with a whole other person than I expected it to be, which is how I learned, don't focus on the person in this twin flame union stuff. It's focus on the energy. Because instead of me focusing on being with the guy I dreamt about, I realized that they put him in my head for me to learn those lessons through him, so that I would be ready to actually be with a guy who was already in alignment with me and who would be ready to actually choose love, because that's a choice that everybody has to make, right? We have to choose love. Choosing love, you choose God, you choose yourself, you choose to go within and heal. That's how we choose love. That's how we start to experience the things that show us the path of Christ consciousness. And if we don't choose love, if we choose fear, well, we're going to experience revelation in a whole other way, right? So that's the choice. And he chose love. And I told him, you chose love. And he said, how do you know I chose love? And I said, because you chose to be with me and you choose to come here and hang out. And when my daughter cries, you jump up before I do. And if I need something, you're here. Like, when my cat died, he was here a couple days later, and he was like, you could have called me. I would have come and helped you. And I could feel how bad he felt that he wasn't there to help me. And every single time something comes up where I would have needed help and he wasn't there for some reason, I can feel that he feels bad about it. I can feel that. That was when I wrote that. I have a friend post where we were looking at the birds in the skies, and I said, what do you think the birds are talking about? And he said that maybe they're looking for a partner. And I could feel how sad he was and how lonely he was and how bad he just wanted somebody to love. That was that guy. And I started to write these things about him, not realizing what was fucking happening, until someday somebody was like, this sounds like a love story. And I was like, oh shit, it does. So I tell him, I'm like, hey, so my friend said that you and I are things that we got going on. Sounds like a love story in the making. And he goes, well, yeah, it does. Like, he'd already apparently he already figured that out, right? I didn't. I was oblivious as a motherfucker, which is funny because I would always call Plaid Mr. Oblivious, right? I was oblivious too. Of course. He's a reflection of me, right? If he was oblivious to something, obviously I was oblivious to something. I was oblivious to the guy that I'm with now. So it was really cool. And where Clad was reflecting things in myself that I had to heal, he was also reflecting things that I loved about him that I turned out to, see in myself, where I was like, oh shit, I attracted this person. I attracted this light into my life. I learned to see people as a reflection or a projection, and instead of projecting my reflection onto them, I would go within and figure it out. So I learned so much through the experiences that I had with Clad. And had I not, I would not have been ready to have this union with the guy that I'm with now. And even though we have a huge age difference and he has zero experiences when it comes to women, it just works. We communicate very well. We've been getting along this entire time and never had a fucking argument. And I told him the other day, I was like, he's like, you want to know how an argument goes with me? And he was like, what? And I was like, I'm going to cuss you out in English, maybe a little bit of Russian. You're not going to understand a word I said. You're going to go, huh? I'm going to get more angry because you don't understand me. And then I'm going to start laughing because you're going to start laughing because I got more angry. And then at some point, I'm going to say something or do something. And you're going to go, aw. And then I'm going to laugh, but I'm going to say, like, don't make me laugh. I'm mad at you. And then you're going to laugh more. And then I'm going to laugh more. And then I'm going to be like, fuck you. And then let's go make some food, and then the fight will be over. And he laughed at that, and I was like, I kid you not, that is how every single argument goes with me. Like, I'll be mad, I'll say some stupid shit, they'll think I'm adorable, and then I'll laugh, and I'll be mad laughing, and then like, all right, let's go eat some food or cuddle, or like, fuck, whatever, man, fuck off. Yeah, so arguments with me have always been more fun than anything. But now that, I'm able to recognize when there's a trigger and actually go within instead of letting it out on someone else, I don't really have to worry about us really having any major arguments, right? And whenever we were talking about relationships and stuff, before we even got together, I asked him, what do you want in a relationship? And he said, I don't know, I've never been in a relationship. So I was like, what do you not want in a relationship? And the first thing he said was fighting. So I made a note, right? I made a note. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like, if I had started to hang out with him the way I am now a year ago, we more than likely would have ended up in a fight by now, right? Because hanging out with somebody for a couple of months almost every day and not having any kind of conflict at all, I mean, it's kind of rare. So I had to learn a lot of things. And when people are on these twin flame journeys, where I started getting information about it, when did I start getting information about it? I don't remember. Earlier this year. And it's like a process in the blog where you can see where I'm getting bits and pieces, and then where like a bigger story comes in, and then like a couple of weeks or months later I'll have an experience, and then I'll be able to take that old message and change it to where it's like the updated version, right? So if somebody's reading my really old post and then they read my new post, there will be changes because there is a truth that resonates or a download that comes in that I was able to explain in one way at some point, and then whenever my frequency went up, I was able to translate differently, also bring in my own personal experience. So, the blog shows an entire process of Dark Night of the Soul to figuring out the healing. It's got the dream interpretations in there. It's got, all of these other things of me figuring things out, connecting the dots, putting the planets together with science and biology, and the gods and the angels and the names of the different religious thingies, and how they all come together to all be the same thing. It's all in there. So I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know that I was going to write the book to prove Carl Jung's theory right, because his theory is the shadow work is the key to enlightenment. And my book shows the entire process. And then I met Kevin. He's in Australia, and it's really funny because we met on a group, and then he got kicked out of that group, and I recognized him on a soul level, and I have been calling him in on a soul level for months now, right? So when he finally comes in, I'm giddy as fuck, and this dude probably thinks I'm nuts right off the bat because I'm just like so excited. I'm like, oh my god, I fucking love you, right? Like, yay, I fucking got him back in my space because I knew who I was calling in, and then when he showed up, I knew who he was. But what he is doing is he started to share his stuff like I was sharing mine. But his stuff, he goes off of research. So he has all of the research he's going to have. He's still working on a lot of stuff, but he's going to be the one who has the research to back up my experiences. So I have the spiritual aspect of things, and he's going to have the scientific aspect of things, including the use of psychedelic drugs to help the awakening process, right? Because he's experimenting with that too. So he's going to come in to write the book, or it's YouTube videos and PDF files, and he's a super nerd. It's really cool. And he's gonna have the scientific stuff put together in a way that is going to back up my spiritual aspect of it, right? So there's a whole bunch of people who are doing this, and they're all doing it in a certain kind of way. But when you take all of us and put our stuff together, you will have all of the information that you need, no matter what your perspective actually is. If you're going straight off of science, that'll lead you into that realm of understanding that, there's more than science. Kevin will have that information. If you're going through Christianity and books, you'll go through the spiritual awakening books group that John has, and you'll see a whole bunch of books, and there's people in there who have written books too. So it's really cool. Melody, she wrote a book. I don't know when it's going to be published, but she's got the Supernova Babe Commission group on my thing, and she found me because I just like magically popped up on her Facebook. She was like, yeah, I don't know how on my Facebook all of a sudden, and I recognized the language you spoke in. She channels messages, and they had her channel an entire book on healing. So where I share the experience on how to heal and how to do this, she has just like this whole fucking manual apparently of how to heal. And it's written differently, and she has parts of it in her group where you can go and you can read parts of what she actually has in that book. But that book is completely channeled. Her book is completely channeled. So it's a whole bunch of people, and the way I'm assuming it is people from all over the world in different languages, they're all doing their thing, right? So there's somebody in Japan doing the same thing that we're doing, right? And it's just like these groups of people, these soul tribe members who find each other, through the divine connection of technology. And they all get together to help each other out, to help each other understand and learn and raise their vibration, and then eventually they come together to help other people when they go through the process. And if what I say doesn't resonate, I can send you to somebody where it might be more fitting to the experiences that you're having. So it's really awesome to become aware of this and to see how everything is falling into place so that we can genuinely be there for one another. And I fucking love that, because like I spent a lot of my life feeling really alone. I mean, hella alone. And that's why when I felt Angus feeling so alone, it really hurt me, because he's such a beautiful fucking person, and all he's ever done was help everybody else and just be there for people, and nobody seemed to really acknowledge his worth. And I was like, I'm not okay with that. So like I started hanging out with him and talking to him more, just because I didn't want him to feel lonely. And now I'm over here like, I'm gonna keep you forever. At least while we're in these vessels. I do have an eternal divine husband, so I explained that to him too. He was like, that's cool. He didn't really get it. He didn't really get it. He does, but he doesn't. So, but yeah, funny thing, yesterday I was talking about this whole new wave of awakening coming through, and I talked about we ended up talking about marriage. It just keeps coming up with us, even before we were officially together. Like marriage just keeps coming up with us. So, yeah. But I did say that I was, feeling my husband, and that was around the same time I met him and didn't put two and two together, but, there was a 13-year age gap. So I wasn't really looking at him, through those lenses, right? Which is good. Cuz I needed to heal. But I talked about this whole awakening process coming through, and I told him, I said, the thing is, you are going to experience it too. I said, I don't know when you're going to experience it, but I was like, but you're going to experience it. And he said, how do you know? And I said, because you're with me. You're with me. And, the one who has awakened helps the other one through the process. So I was like, you ain't got to worry about it. When you start to feel like you're losing your fucking mind, you know where to go. And after that, we went to my room to grab the Uno cards because we were going to play Uno. And I was like, hey, you want me to pull some tarot cards for you real quick? And he was like, yeah. And he asked a question, but I didn't know what he asked, right? I didn't even know he asked a question. I immediately started shuffling, and the Judgment card fell out. And I was like, oh, that's funny as fuck, right? Because Judgment is like the rebirth, awakening card, right? And then the Magician and the Hierophant fell out. And I was like, oh shit, cool. Well, the Hierophant is a spiritual, religious card, magician, manifestation. But the Hierophant also comes out for the marriage card, right? I count that as a marriage card. So I'm like, hey, dude, you have the awakening card followed by manifesting a marriage come out. And he goes, oh, I asked what the future brings. And I said, well, there you have it. You're going to have your awakening and you're going to get married, right? So then I go, let me check what the cards say for me. So I go, what's in the future? And I shuffle the cards, right? And then the Magician is on the bottom of the deck, and the Hierophant slaps me in the face almost. So I lay him out, and I go, hey, look, we got the same cards again. Because the very first time I did tarot for him, he didn't know what tarot was. He had no fucking clue that tarot existed. And I did a bunch of cards for him, and it was like the Knight of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Lovers, the Magician, the Fool, right? Just the whole story, right? 10 of Cups, I think 10 of Pentacles, just all these long-term commitment, marriage, love cards came out. And I was like, dude, you're about to be in a relationship, right? And he was like, what? And I explained the cards to him and everything. And then the second time we did the cards, he actually read them himself, and it was really cool. He went right into shadow work. So yeah, so that first time I did his cards, he had all these love cards come out. And then I was like, oh, cool. Well, let me do mine. And then I started to pull cards, because I don't pull cards. They fall out. And then there's some where I can feel the energy that I'm supposed to, like, if it flips over or some weird, how it is. Well, maybe not. I don't know if you do tarot. But yeah, so I ended up having the Two of Cups, the 10 of Cups, the 10 of Pentacles, the Knight of Cups, the Fool. Like, we had all the same cards. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to stop now, because I used 2 decks for him. And almost every single card that came out again with the second deck. So it was emphasizing these cards, right? And he was watching me do this, so he knew I wasn't like cheating or, and he was sitting there like, holy shit. So then I do the third deck, and I'm doing it, right? And then I have the same cards coming out. So I was like, dude, what the fuck? So then when it happened again yesterday, I was like, look, we're both manifesting a marriage. Who the fuck do you think are we going to marry? Right? So it's pretty funny. But I did tell him that if it's not you, it's going to be someone else, and I ain't worried about it. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'm not fucking worried about it. Like, we're doing what we're doing. We're having fun. We're getting to know each other. You're getting to know yourself better. You're having experiences. I'm having experiences. We're growing. And we either end up married or we don't. I was like, either way, I'm going to be married within 2 years. I know that, matter of fact, because, well, I have visions, right? So it's pretty cool. But we have to work on ourselves. If we're not ready to be in a relationship where we can work through our triggers without actually projecting our shit onto the other person, it's not going to be a healthy relationship. If it's not a healthy relationship, it is not a high vibrational relationship. And it is that healthy, high vibration, unconditional love type of relationship that makes it the twin flame union. That's what makes it the twin flame union. And that's why in that one live I had talked about 3 parts of a flame. Now these 3 parts can come in differently for everybody. But there's always going to be the part where you go through your darkness, and then you go up into the light, and then you're going to have a part where you have some sort of help ascending, and then you have your union. And it doesn't have to be with the same person. It could be with the same person. It could be 3 people, right? I had one to launch me into hell, one to pull me up closer to heaven, and one to have a union with, to grow with together. So, yeah, it's just a matter of all of that. No, that's not Angus, that's Kyrie. Yeah, the daughter just got home from school. I forgot to leave the key out for her. But yeah, so. Hey, Kyrie. Aw, you're so cute.
I got you some crystals, Mom.
You got me crystals?
Yeah.
Thank you. Come on in. No, Adeline, you're going to try to eat them.
Eddie, I got a
But yeah,
toy
so
from school.
if you're on that twin flame union thing,
Toy.
it's entirely about the energy.
Eddie, I got
They're
a
not
toy.
toys. She has a toy somewhere else. What do you mean you got a toy? Where'd you get a toy from school? What?
The teacher gave me one.
The teacher gave you a toy?
Yeah.
Why?
Toys. Maybe.
In her bag. Hang it up, please. Don't throw it.
Toys.
I said hang it up, please. You threw it on the floor. They're not toys. Look, they're little rocks.
What?
All right, I'm going to show you the rocks, and then I'm going to get off of here so I can fix lunch and help Kyrie with her homework, because she makes messes with her homework, so I got to, like, actually sit here and make sure she's doing it right. Yeah. She gave me these little focus. Can you see them? Those little rocks. She does that. She'll collect rocks for me. And this one. Can you see that? Hi, Katie. Yeah. She also collects feathers for me. Because I tell her that feathers are messages from the angels. Now, I had more, but sometimes Maggie would get a hold of them. And there's some. And then I think I have some in my manifestation box, which is completely full. But yeah, so there's my rambling of the day. Ascension symptoms are cray-cray. It's a real thing. Your stomach might act up too. My stomach was really angry yesterday, on and off. So, drink a lot of water. Take baths. Do something that makes your inner child happy. Like this guy here. Hi. He's just living the life, man. He's living the life. Getting fat, eating chips on the couch. With the TV on and YouTube on his phone. So I'm probably just going to follow his cue, actually. Maybe I'll take a nap. I don't know. But yeah, so there's all that. If you have questions, feel free to ask. There is that live where I was actually reading my journal. If you go into the videos on the actual blog, Be the Crown, or at It's Me Nerd Girl, you'll see those lives. And I read out of this one and out of this one, and I think this one here is where I showed where I did Carl Jung's 12 archetypes on myself. Yeah, so I show the shadow work in the journal that is on the blog too, but I actually like talked about it more and stuff like that. So yeah, energetically it's gonna be a little bit rough for a couple of us. We're going through the motions, and most of us that are actually in communication with each other, we're fairly high up there in vibration. So if you're having all these symptoms and you've been doing this, imagine how it feels for the people who have no fucking clue what's going on. No fucking clue, right? So yeah, we're gonna have to really practice that whole compassion thing. Just keep in mind that the people have amnesia, and if somebody has amnesia, yeah, go ahead. If somebody has amnesia and you come towards them with good intent, but they're afraid, they might attack you. So, you know, that's them shooting the dragon's head off. That dream was fucking crazy, dude. But yeah, alright, I'm gonna get off of here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for talking, hanging out. I hope my ramblings help. They're already making a mess. Alright, I'm gonna go. Bye, love you.